electrifying sports talk from start to finish.
You're going wire to wire
With Diesel and Cole Bryson
on the Fan Upstate.
Well, if the Carolina Panthers get their way on Sunday, Cole, they'll be back to 500. And could you imagine this? Did any part of you going into the 2025 season think that it was possible at week 6, not quite the halfway point of the season, about the third mark of the NFL season, that these Carolina Panthers could be at 500 and maybe pushing farther and farther beyond that? Welcome into Wire to Wire. He's Cole Bryson on location at Gaffney High School out there on the reservation. I'm Diesel back here in the network studios. Cole, how's your back feeling? I heard you took a little tumble as we were setting up the show today.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea. There may or may not have been a handrail behind me that, injected itself into my back. But no, other than that, I have no idea what you're talking about. But it's good to be here,
sabotage.
Good to be here.
I think it was. I think they set you up so that you would be a little uncomfortable.
No, I'm just an idiot.
As it comes to the call.
I'm just a, you know what? I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. We all know that, though. But it's good.
Never attribute to malice what could be attributed or explained by stupidity.
It's good to be here, man. It's always fun coming up to Gaffney. A big one tonight. A lot of big high school football games. But this game tonight, Diesel, just to give you perspective, is probably the biggest in the state tonight. So a lot of eyes on this game, and I hope you can join us at 7 o'clock for the call.
It's going to be a fun one, Cole. You'll be kind of jettisoning at 6 o'clock today to get ready for that call. It's going to be a big one tonight up there in Gaffney, but there's a big one just a couple of more miles up the road from there, about another 45-ish minutes up into Charlotte on Sunday, as the Carolina Panthers are going to be hosting the Dallas Cowboys. And we're going to start right there on the show today. Cole, I wonder if I can convince you, because you are a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan, unapologetic, long-suffering, as some might say, sadistic, masochistic, whatever words you want to use to describe Dallas Cowboys fans. But is it possible for me to convince you that there's a way that the Carolina Panthers beat the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday?
I believe, Diesel, I believe there is a way for you to convince me. And here's the reality of it. Diesel, have been, to your point, a Cowboys fan my whole life. So, the reason I say you might be able to convince me is because I have seen it all, Diesel. I've seen it all, man. There's nothing that I hadn't seen as a Cowboys fan. So, if you told me today, by the way, you can read into the future and you can see that Dallas is going to lose Sunday, would it surprise me a little bit? Yeah, it surprised me, but it wouldn't shock me, to answer your question.
I wish we could just do this the way that, ancient armies used to handle business. You'd get 10,000 on one side, you'd get 12,000 on the other side. They'd all show up to the field. They'd all rattle their spears and bang them against their shields and put on a big show. But then they would send a champion out to do the fighting for them. And that way, not everybody, not thousands of people had to die or had to get hurt in the fight. Could we see that maybe instead of having Bryce Young and Dak Prescott go head-to-head, could we just bring out Jerry and Dave to the 50-yard line midfield, let them fight it out, and let them decide who wins the game?
Dave's bigger. He's a little heftier guy. You're right, younger. That wouldn't be much of a fight at all, Diesel. I don't know that would last long. I don't know that you want to see that.
I know there's an age gap between you and I. You're still in your late teens. But there was a show on MTV back in the day. Maybe you remember it, maybe you don't, called Celebrity Deathmatch. Do you remember that show?
I do not.
Oh, it was good. It was the early days of MTV, back when they still played music videos and the M actually meant something, but they would do claymation, animated clay figures battling each other. Now that would be a fight for MTV's Celebrity Deathmatch. Jerry versus Dave. I think it'd be a fun one. But here we go. We're talking about the Carolina Panthers and the Dallas Cowboys. And by the way, Tolos, it is Friday. That means today is your last day, and you are now on the clock to get in your upset picks for week number 7 before the end of the show. The show is over at 7 o'clock. We want them in by 6:50. That way we're not having to go back after the fact. Oh, I got my pick in at 6:59. Get us your pick. Send us your name, your game, and the spread. A couple of great guests lined up on the show today at 4 o'clock. Smitty, Matt Smith of SportsTalk Media Network, going to join us. We've got the weekend menu coming up at 5 o'clock. Some good stuff lined up on the show today. But I got one big reason, Cole, why the Carolina Panthers stand a strong chance. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think they stand a strong chance to beat these Dallas Cowboys. And it starts with the big letter D. And I'm not talking about Dallas, and I'm not talking about some other word we can't say on the radio. I'm talking about defense. Dallas's defense sucks.
Yeah.
They flat out suck. So if the Carolina Panthers, I think, can put up, 20, 24 points, they stand a chance to win this one.
They do. Dallas's defense has obviously been the weakness this season, right? The deficiencies, the inability, Diesel, to get off the field, the inability to get off the field on third down. Offensively, it's wild because you look and you couldn't have two more polar opposite units, but the Cowboys defense is a huge area of concern. There's no doubt. So if you are a Panthers fan, you've got to feel like there might be a little hope, just because you're talking about a defense, Diesel, that ranks toward the bottom in yards per points allowed this season. They can't contain the big plays. They can't get off the field on third downs. The pass
can't
defense,
stop the run.
No, and the pass defense is vulnerable as well. Obviously, you have some guys out that you want to get back, and some young guys like James Houston, who I think have stepped up and done a good job lately. But to your point, their defense is a liability. I believe, I said last night, I think, Diesel, there's better talent on that Cowboys defense than the way they're playing right now. And maybe this is the game where they kind of start to figure it out, hopefully. But no, there's no doubt if you're a Panther fan, you're looking at Sunday's matchup, you feel like, okay, this is one of the worst defenses in the league. We might have a shot.
Yeah, look, Bryce Young struggles with pressure no matter where it comes from, whether it comes from the inside or the outside. And, obviously Dallas being down now, their star pass rusher and Micah Parsons, they're not really rushing the quarterback the way that they would like to. Certainly they've had a couple of games where they've had multiple sacks in them, but they're not like leading the league in rushing from the edge, from the defensive end position. But the good thing for Carolina is Bryce Young is a mobile quarterback. And if that pressure is going to come from the inside, which that's where Dallas has been getting their pass rush over the course of the season, if they can get that pass rush from the inside, push Bryce Young out on maybe some more designed scrambles and throws, I think there's a chance that Bryce Young stays on his feet more often than not in this game. How much does that sort of lack of pass rush or the inconsistent pass rush as a Dallas Cowboys fan kind of give you pause?
Well, it's the same thing, same principle on the offensive side of the ball, Diesel. When you're talking about pass rush, we say all the time, a bad offensive line will expose different areas, right, of the offense. Same thing defensively with what you're talking about, the pass rush, Diesel. A bad pass rush will expose other areas on the defense that are vulnerable. You're putting a lot of pressure on Trayvon Diggs and Theron Bland back there. So when you're not able to create a pass rush and put pressure on Bryce Young, I think you put pressure on the corners, leave them on islands, put pressure on the linebackers, and then you've got some new guys. We talked about James Houston, Kenny Clark coming over from Green Bay. You've got some newness on this Cowboys defense, and maybe that's the reason with Matt Eberflus, new defensive coordinator, Diesel. That's why I am attributing right now the inability to be good defensively. I'm attributing it to the newness because, frankly, I don't know what else to attribute it to because they've got dudes on defense. They've got good play. Trayvon Diggs, Theron Bland led the NFL in interceptions just a couple of years ago. So Matt Eberflus, the jury's still out on him. It's a big part of it. The pass rush, to your point, is a huge part. Because we've seen this season, even last week with that interception, Diesel, when Bryce feels a little bit of pressure, Bryce gets timid, and pressure leads to bad decision-making by Bryce Young.
Do you think Jerry wishes he could mark Matt Eberflus return to sender, get him back out of Dallas? Because they currently sit in last, 32nd in total defense. I don't know, like, if Rico Dowdle and his familiarity with the players that are on that Dallas Cowboys defense, a vast majority of them were around when he was still there in Dallas. Look, it's a completely different system, switching over from Mike Zimmer's system to Matt Eberflus's system. So you can't really say that he remembers scheme, but some of the basic schemes are the basic schemes, no matter what team you're coaching for. I just wonder if familiarity with the players he's going to be going up against, as in he practiced against them, he knows what they're good at, what they're not good at, how he can sort of juke fake, get out of tackles against certain guys. How much stock do you put in Rico Dowdle's ability to use his intimate knowledge of that personnel?
Well, it's interesting, Diesel. I think Rico Dowdle, if you're a Panther fan and you're asking the question of what outs are, I think Rico Dowdle, after his performance 206 a week ago, Diesel, I think Rico Dowdle's got to be at the top of the strength list, right? So I don't know how much familiarity Rico Dowdle has with Dallas's defense, but what I do know, Diesel, is what I will tell you is that Rico Dowdle, if the Carolina Panthers are going to get a win on Sunday, Rico Dowdle is going to have to be a big part of it. I'm not saying he's going to have to go for 206 again, but I'll give you a crazy stat. You talk about a back in Chuba Hubbard, Diesel, who had really good flashes a season ago, right? Then he comes in this season, he gets hurt, but before Chuba Hubbard's injury, Diesel, he hasn't been the same running back as he was last year. Here's this for you. Chuba Hubbard, 53 carries on the season, Diesel. 53 carries for RB1, right? This is your running back one. 0 explosive runs and 53 carries. 0 missed tackles forced, meaning he has not made the defense miss a tackle one time this season. Rico Dowdle now, on the other hand, kind of going back to your point, in week 5, Diesel, Rico Dowdle, 234 total yards. That was the most that week in the NFL by any player. 10 missed tackles forced by Rico Dowdle. By the way, he tied the NFL leader this season in missed tackles forced with 10 last week. Diesel, he had 4 15-plus yard runs, which was second most in the NFL, and he had 157 yards after contact, which is the most in the NFL last week. So going back to the Dowdle conversation, he's going to have to be a big part. He's going to have to be a huge part of Sunday's success. But even more so than that, Diesel, big picture, when Chuba Hubbard comes back healthy, there's now a conversation to be had that maybe Rico Dowdle's RB1 because Chuba Hubbard hasn't been the same guy this year.
No, it's true. It's true. And I don't know how many of our Tolos got to watch that game last night. Whew, man, how about the 104 teams? I know that some of them, they all came around multiple times. Passed on Cam Scatabo because that guy is a monster in the NFL. And wouldn't the Carolina Panthers sure as heck love to have Cam Scatabo on their team right now? He was unstoppable last night.
He was, man. He was sensational. And you know what? It's what every owner and GM kind of salivates over. I think Brian Daboll said it best, Diesel, when you talk about the youth movement. You know how big companies out there across the country and world hire youth to do what? To bring some new, a new breath of fresh air, some new experience, some energy, right, into a building. And Jackson Dart and Cam Scatabo last night, and not only last night, but this season, what they've done, just bringing that youth energy, that almost a young and dumb type energy. You need that. You do, man. Like, they're running into guys. You watched that game last night. They're running into dudes. They're just kind of playing young and dumb, and it reminds me a lot of, speaking of the Cowboys, Diesel, it reminds me a lot of 2016. Dak and Zeke as rookies, same thing. They go on a huge run that year, reel off 10 wins in a row, and man, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, Cam has clearly not learned how to play smart yet, but that's not his style, right? He's going to treat his brain like that little metal spring thing that you put inside your protein shaker, and it's just going to bounce around his skull, and he's going to scramble his eggs pretty hard. I don't know how long of a career Cam Scatabo is going to have if he keeps playing that kind of football, but by God, he is medically cleared to play right now, and that is all that matters. Now, Carolina, you're right, has got to figure out something when it comes to getting chunk plays, and Dave Canales mentioned that this week in prep, and Andy Dalton echoed that, saying, I don't think it's a lack of anything other than we need to call bigger plays more. He said that they've kind of fallen into this rhythm of trying to put together 9, 10, 11 play drives. I mean, so they're not really aiming for the big-time plays, and maybe that's something they need to create, and especially against Dallas, that has had a hard time stopping the big-time chunk plays and has a hard time rushing off the edge, so that it might allow, Bryce a little bit more time. If they can maybe pop 2 or 3 plays over the course of this game to Ted McMillan for 20, 25, 30 yards, who knows? I mean, Dallas could find themselves in a hole and have a hard time digging out.
They could, and I'll tell you this, Diesel, I believe that is the most intriguing matchup Sunday is Carolina's offense versus Dallas's bad defense. And you'd say, well, Cole, both units are kind of bad. How is that intriguing? Well, here's the deal. The way I look at it is Dak's going to get his. We all know what Dak Prescott's going to do. We expect Dak Prescott to come out and play good. He's one of the more consistent quarterbacks in the league. He's had a heck of a season, an MVP caliber season. I expect Dak to play well. Carolina Panthers defense, whatever. I think they'll be okay. But to me, the focal point is Carolina's offense, Dallas's defense. What does this Carolina Panthers offense, Diesel, look like against this Dallas defense? What I mean is, man, if we think this offense is bad now and they come out on Sunday and they're bad against the Cowboys, boy, do the Panthers have some big problems on offense. I think it's critical for Carolina on Sunday to hit on the big plays, to your point. You're talking about an injury-ravaged team already. The third right guard this season, Diesel, a backup center. Obviously, you traded away Adam Thielen. Look, you have Ted McMillan, who's a great route runner, good hands. He's really smooth over the middle. But the reality is Bryce Young and Ted McMillan haven't really hit their stride yet. I hear a lot of reports how they're hitting their stride in practice, and in practice they look incredible. This Carolina Panthers offense still has too many inconsistencies, and I will say, I think Xavier Legette, Diesel, is a big part of that inconsistency right now. He has not played. I know he started to come on a little bit last week, but Xavier Legette's been a massive disappointment this season.
Yeah, it makes you start to think, is it time to maybe try to snow some other teams and think, hey, this is a big body wide receiver. He's a fun, very likable guy. Man. He's marketable. Come on, guys. Who would like to take a shot at fixing this guy? That might be what the Carolina Panthers need to do, because I'm not sure that, he's developing in the right way. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a lack of development in Carolina, which it would surprise me because you could see the development happening before your eyes with Ted. Or if, it clearly doesn't seem like he's unhappy in Carolina. I'm blown away. Maybe he just needs a better quarterback that can put him in a best possible position to be successful. Maybe he'll go to Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield will make him look like a second Mike Evans.
No, I think Ted's going to be a fine NFL receiver. And to your point, but Xavier Legette's he should be what we're talking about right now.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like my point being, we all kind of feel good about Ted, right? We all kind of feel like, okay, that guy's going to be fine. That's why I think our focus, to your point, there should be on Xavier Legette, because he's just not hitting the mark. And you're talking about a first-round draft pick who we all know Carolina Panthers hadn't been hitting the mark when it comes to first-round draft picks, right? A little short. Not talking about Bryce, but talking about hitting the mark on first-round draft picks. So ultimately, I will say it's a big game for Carolina in the sense, Diesel, of not only do they have the ability and the opportunity to get back to 500 like you talked about to lead the segment, but when you talk about this offense getting better, you're going up against the league's worst defense. You have no better opportunity. And again, going back to what I said, I think Dallas still has dudes. I don't believe Dallas's defense is the worst defense personnel-wise, but they are statistically, on paper, the worst defense because of their inability to get off the field this season, right? So I think my point being, if I'm Carolina, if I'm a Panthers fan, Diesel, on this Friday going into this game, or maybe even going to the game, I want to see this offense get going. And I don't mean like 500 yards, Hall of Fame type performances. I just want to see some consistency against this bad Dallas defense.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting ball game. You're right. It's a mediocre offense against a bad defense for Carolina's offense and Dallas's defense. It kind of begs the question, and we always have to talk about it. Anytime we bring up the Carolina Panthers, we have to talk about, all right, where are they going to finish at the end of this season? What should their plan be? And if they sort of get hot and start winning games, clearly they're not going to be in a position to draft somebody over a Bryce Young. But you may say to yourself, maybe they could be in a position to maybe draft a Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. He's currently listed as the fourth best receiver in this upcoming receivers class for the 2026 NFL draft. You're probably not going to be in a position to get the guys that are 1-2 at that position group. But, hey, if you can get the third or fourth guy and you're looking at, Carnell Tate or Casey Concepcion or maybe even a Nick Harbor. I don't know if if the Carolina Panthers are going to be willing to take another risk on a Gamecock who hasn't quite performed the way that they thought he would, but it makes you think maybe they could pair another elite wide receiver with Ted.
So real quick before we run to a break, what's your gut? What's your gut prediction for Sunday as a Panthers fan?
My gut tells me that Carolina does not yet have it put together in order to play a perfect game. And they have to play essentially a perfect game offensively to outscore the Dallas Cowboys in this game. I think they can keep it fairly close. I think they might even win a half, but not win the whole game. I'm going to say Dallas 24, Carolina 18.
It's interesting, Diesel. The Carolina Panthers, when you look at this game and their ability to keep these games against Dallas close over the past few years, they've been able to force turnovers. When Cam and those guys were in their prime and they were beating Dallas consistently, they were able to do that. On the flip side, last year, Dallas forced 4 turnovers in that game. So the Panthers cannot have a repeat of what happened last year, turnover happy. You've got to take care of the football. I'm with you. I think Dallas wins by 12, 13 points, something like that. I think they do win and cover, but ultimately I think that Dak just plays a little bit better than anybody else on the field on Sunday. Speaking of playing better on the field, Diesel, week 7 of high school football is here. Who I think plays better tonight? It is time to get to my weekly picks. They're already posted on the fanupstate.com if you want a little bit of a teaser, but live on air, Diesel's going to put me on the spot next right here on the Fan Upstate. Diesel, to your left is the sheet of paper I was telling you about. Since we're having the conversation, I can tell you over the air. I mean, we can bring our conversations over the air. There's some Burns bumper music you might want to use there. Feel free to use it if you want to in this segment. So I'm bringing you Tolos behind the curtain a little bit, telling you Tolos, giving you an idea of what Diesel and I talk about during the break. There is work that is
not the only thing
done.
we talk about during the break.
That's true. We talk bad about people, talk good about people, but believe it or not, there is work done during the commercial break. So I was just relaying some info over to Diesel as it is time to get into my high school picks. Week 7 of high school football is here, Diesel, and man, I will tell you, I'm proud to be in the position that I am because I've been doing the Saturday morning scramble for 7 years or so, I believe. And in the 7 years of doing the show, Diesel, I can tell you, not one time have I ever gone undefeated in my high school picks until last week, 25-0. And I believe I am going to retire, which spoils this segment. I know we had high school picks slated for this very segment, but because I went undefeated last week and went 25-0, I think I'm going to retire. So we're going to have to do a new segment here.
Oh, that sounds like cheating a little bit. It sounds like running away. It sounds like getting lucky.
I know.
And then getting stage left.
Man, getting lucky. I hear you. But nonetheless, let's see if I can replicate a 25-0 performance tonight as you take us through tonight's Week 7 games.
Let's do it. Let's start at Easley High School as they host the Greenville Red Raiders.
Oh, I'm sorry. Week 7. These
am I on the wrong week?
Yeah,
I'm on the wrong
week.
week.
You might have been last week.
Yep. Okay. They were.
But Easley is at the top now.
There we go. Easley at Malden. How about that one?
Malden, I like Malden, man. Malden's Andre Cook, their head coach, Diesel, has done a heck of a job. I know that's kind of I'm going to dedicate it to being your team since you live over that way. Andre Cook's done a great job at Malden High School, getting them back to, being relevant, being able to compete in games. And Easley, same kind of situation. Sam Houston trying to build that program up as well from the ground up. And I think Malden has the better athletes. I think Malden wins tonight.
Interesting. Let's go with Greenville at Greenwood.
I think this could be a sneaky good game. Scoot Watson does a great job at Greenville, but Tristan Lewis, the Gamecock commit, quarterback Diesel for Greenwood. This guy's incredible. I've seen him in person once this year, and Greenwood's a good team. So while I think Greenville might keep it close for a little while, I like Greenwood to pull away late. And I'll take the Eagles tonight. The Eagles finally get a win since the Philadelphia Eagles failed to fly high last night. Where's Eric Hines at, by the way, on the Fly Eagles Fly? How about those Eagles, baby?
And I'll take it anytime I get a chance to play Exhibit on the Fan Upstate. Plus, this song just sounds like something a high school band would play, right?
It does.
Got
I like
a
it.
high school band feel.
Let's
move down the list, Cole, and go to J.O. Mann at Hillcrest.
This could be an interesting game. J.O. Mann and Hillcrest. Ultimately, I think Hillcrest has too many horses. And I think Hillcrest gets it done tonight, bouncing back from a loss a week ago. Diesel, J.O. Mann with Bryce Smiley as head coach, still trying to kind of find their footing in their first season together. A lot of newness there. So I'll take the Old Faithful and Bennett Swaggart and the Hillcrest Rams to get it done tonight.
All right, TL Hannah, a lot of history down there. They are hosting Woodmont tonight.
Yeah, a lot of history. And, man, Diesel, this might be one of the hotter teams in the state right now. Hannah lost in week 0 to Burns, and since they've just been incredible. I love the way Jason Tone and that wing T offense have just gotten better and better every week. And, man, good luck stopping those guys. I think Hannah wins and might win big tonight.
How about your game, the game that you're going to be at, Burns at Gaffney?
This is every year, Diesel, you literally can throw, I know it's cliche, but you can throw all the records and everything out the window because it's always a big game, one of the most heated rivalry games in the state. I said earlier in the show that this is probably the biggest game in the state tonight, right here in Gaffney, South Carolina. You can hear the game, obviously, at 7 o'clock on the Fan Upstate, but you just look at these two teams. There are so many what-ifs. Ultimately, I think on paper, I think Burns is the better football team on paper. Now, what I said a minute ago, in this game, throw all that out because last year we saw a really bad Burns offense take Gaffney to double overtime when they almost got outgained by 400 yards offensively. I'm going to go with Burns tonight, obviously, because we are the Burns station. But, man, you just never know, Diesel. When these two teams get together, it wouldn't surprise me if this game went either way.
You homer. How about Dorman at Spartanburg?
Spartanburg's had the upper hand in the last 4 over Dorman. Man, they've won 4 straight. It's a series that Spartanburg leads by 25 games. Dorman, the better team tonight, but this, again, one of those rivalry games where you just never know. This was a series, a rivalry that dates all the way back to the late 50s, early 60s, and was dominated by Spartanburg, Diesel, from the late 50s all the way to 2000. And, in fact, going into the year 2000, Dorman only had 3 regular season wins over Spartanburg in an almost 40-year span. So it's been Vikings in this series for a long time. However, tonight, Dorman will get the win and come out on top.
And next up, you got East Side at Riverside.
This could be a good one, man. 2 good teams in Greenville County. East Side's given Spartanburg and Gaffney a bugaboo this year. I love the job that Coach Wilcock's done over there, Diesel. I am going to go with East Side tonight, but I saw Riverside last week. I love what I saw from Gideon Merribb, sophomore quarterback, who's a heck of an athlete. He's going to be special. Give him time. But I think ultimately East Side might have the bigger line up front. I think they might be a little bit more physical up front as well. I love Tankersley, their running back. He's just a Cam Scatabo type running back. He's big, he's physical, he's fast, he's hard to bring down. So I'm going to go with East Side, but I think that could, if you're in Greenville County tonight, I think East Side Riverside might be a really good game.
Got the Road Warriors getting the win in that one. How about Wade Hampton on the road at Boiling Springs?
Hate it for Wade Hampton, but Boiling Springs with a bad taste in their mouth after last week, right? Wade Hampton is not the same level of football team that Boiling Springs is, unfortunately, even though Boiling Springs is down compared to what they were a season ago. Boiling Springs has been dealing with all kind of injuries, Diesel, but that doesn't compare to what Wade Hampton's dealt with in terms of just not having the same type of athletes to go toe-to-toe against big teams. So even though Jeremiah Favorite's still out, even though Boiling Springs is, battling through a lot of injuries, like I said, they're the better team tonight. The Bulldogs will get the win.
Next up, who you got in Emerald at Westside?
I want to say watch out for an upset here. I'm not calling for an upset, but if I had to pick the upset of the week, I think it might be Emerald over Westside. It could be a sneaky good game. Maybe I'm wrong and Westside blows them out. I think Westside wins tonight, but it would not surprise me to see this game a lot closer than people think. The Rams have lost a lot last season due to graduation, but I am going to go Westside getting the win tonight.
Texter wants to know your thoughts on this Blacksburg-Landrum game. We'll get to that here in just a minute, Texter. I just wanted to give you the heads up and acknowledge that we are going to come to that game here in just a minute. Next up on the list, you got Fountain Inn at Wren.
Ooh, this is a good one, Diesel. This is a good one. A Fountain Inn program kind of with something to prove. I love Sam Holliday and what he does at quarterback for Fountain Inn. I think that he's one of the better quarterbacks in the area. I really do. But you look at this Wren football team this season, they've been really good. And I mean really, really good. One of the better teams in the state, in my mind, definitely a top 10 team in their classification. So while I am super high on Fountain Inn, I do believe Wren takes care of business tonight.
Who do you like in Lawrence at Southside?
It's interesting with this one. Southside's not a good football team. Lawrence has struggled this season at times. Lawrence is the better team. They switched last year from a very run-heavy approach back to a spread. Greg Porter, second year. They've had a tough season, Diesel, but Lawrence gets the win tonight.
All right, Daniel on the road at TR, the Devil Dogs.
Daniel wins by, give me a number, Diesel, as many as you want. I mean, pick your number here. No disrespect to Chris Goodman and those guys at Travelers Rest, but we all know how good Daniel's. Daniel's a powerhouse, and they're going to win.
Are there enough lights on the scoreboard?
That's a good question. There's going to be a lot of scoring tonight. Did you say that game was at TR?
At TR.
Yeah. They better hope it's working. There's going to be some points scored in that one.
Next up, you got Greer at Blue Ridge.
This game was the most difficult game I had to pick this week. Greer Blue Ridge. We love what Blue Ridge has done this season under John Boggs. I think their quarterback is one of the better quarterbacks in the area. Gavin, he was our player of the week already once this year. He's an exceptional talent. Greer We know they're battle-tested because of their schedule and what they do out of conference to get ready for their conference, their region play. As I said, I struggled mightily with this one, Diesel. I am going to go with Greer over Blue Ridge. You could convince me either way. I think it's a close game, but give me Will Young and the Yellow Jackets in this one tonight.
Next up, you got Berea hosting Seneca.
Seneca, again, a name-your-score game here. No disrespect, no offense to Berea, but Seneca's got the ability to put up points on offense, and Seneca might run wild tonight. Seneca, big.
Okay, next up after that, Crescent at West Oak.
Crescent, big. Not going to spend a lot of time on this one. I don't think there's a ton to touch on there. Crescent's going to be tough to handle tonight. By the way, Jersey Joe on the Facebook stream says, go Mavs, go Furry, go Christchurch Cavs. I guess he has 3 high school teams there, talking about Malden, Fountain Inn, and Christchurch. Also, James on YouTube says, go Green Wave. So some high school football fans getting in on the conversation on the stream.
He's a fan of the Mavs and the Cavs. How about this one, Cole? Pendleton at Walhalla.
Pendleton-Walhalla could be interesting. I would like to know how long Walhalla can keep it a game. I don't think the Bulldogs of Pendleton are the same Pendleton team of years past, but they're still pretty good. And ultimately, their depth, I think they wear down on Walhalla. Give me the Bulldogs tonight.
Carolina off to a tough start this season. They're on the road at St. Joe's.
Yeah, they're off to a rough start, and it's going to be a rough season for those guys. St. Joe's is a good team. They're well coached. I like where they are as a program. What they do offensively is tough to prepare for. Carolina is, to your point, Diesel struggled already this year, and it's gonna be. It might get ugly tonight. I think St. Joe's wins big.
Next up, we got Christchurch on the road at Powdersville.
Man, what a tall task for Christchurch. This is one of the best games of the night. This could be one of the best games of the night, Diesel. Christchurch is a good football team. They've got D1 guys. We talked to Michael Martin of Christchurch a couple of days ago. They're legit. And, man, going on the road at you said at Powdersville, Diesel?
That's
the
right.
game's on the road. Powdersville's one of the better teams in the area. I think this one's close. I think this might be the best game of the night in the upstate. If you're going to Powdersville tonight, I think this one could be a lot of fun, but I think Powdersville wins a close one tonight at home. Give me Powdersville by a smidge. I'm going to go with Robert Mustard and those guys.
Yeah, well, we've seen Christchurch punch above their weight class
Yeah.
and win some big games this season. Maybe they can get it done again on the road. How about Southside Christian at Palmetto?
Southside Christian, big, I believe. Southside Christian wins, and it might be a name your score again, tricky preparing for Southside Christian's offense and what they do over there. So I like Southside Christian big.
How about Broome on the road at Union County?
Union County, man, they've got one win this season, I believe, without looking. They've got one win, Diesel. I don't believe that second win is going to come tonight. Look, Broome may not have the athletes year in and year out, but what they do have is they have a good coordinator in offense. They have a good head coach in Lynn Fleming. They've got Dearberry, the coordinator's son, playing quarterback. He's a heck of an athlete. Broome's going to figure out a way to win tonight. I don't know if they win by 40 tonight. They may end up winning big, but I like the Centurions to take care of business tonight.
Now would be a good time for Kev to turn off his radio because we're talking Chapman at MVP tonight.
Yeah, you mean to tell me that I'm not going to call for the upset here, Diesel, for Chapman over Mountain View Prep? So Mountain View Prep is going to win this game tonight. By the way, this game's being played at North Greenville, their home venue for Mountain View Prep this season, Diesel. I hate it for Chapman. They've been ravaged by injuries, and I mean in a big-time way. That the injury bug has hit them hard. They're not getting consistent offense play, or they're just not consistent really anywhere. I hate it for Chapman, but Gray Ramsey, the head coach at Mountain View Prep, I think that with him being a former Chapman guy, Diesel, not saying he's going to run the score up. I would never say that about Gray Ramsey, but I think Mountain View Prep might forget to put starters, put the backups in a little bit late in this one. I think this one could get ugly.
All right, here's the one that the texter asked us about. Your thoughts on Blacksburg at Landrum?
Blacksburg's had a tough year, man, and I love what Mike Reed's done in his first season as Landrum's head coach. We had him and a couple of Landrum players out on location at the Saturday Scramble a couple of weeks ago, Diesel. Landrum's just a better team. Blacksburg's got some ball players that might be able to make some plays tonight, but overall team depth, the ability to stop Landrum's offense and get off the field. I think that's going to be a problem for Blacksburg tonight. So I will go Landrum in the win column tonight.
All right, Cole. Lucky me, my screen just went black. Let's get a little refresh here.
It's all good.
The last two games, Clinton at Chesney.
I've already said this once, but I'm going to say it again. Maybe the game of the week here, Diesel, another candidate for game of the week. Clinton Chesney. Clinton's still a really good team. I want to be very clear. They won the state championship a season ago. They've still got a lot of those guys on their team. They're a solid football team led by Corey Fountain. But Chesney's not the same old Chesney that Clinton's used to beating and beating big. I am going to go with Clinton tonight, but I think it's close. I think it comes down to the wire. If you told me that Chesney gets the upset like one of our Tolos earlier, as soon as we started the show, Brian Blanton was calling for on Twitter, it wouldn't surprise me. I just think ultimately Clinton's offense is going to be a little bit too much for Chesney's defense.
And the last one, Abbeville football is an institution in the upstate. Yeah. How about them hosting Calhoun Falls?
They're going to win. They're going to institute a big win tonight. Abbeville, again, this one might, I don't know that it gets ugly, but I think Abbeville wins comfortably. So we'll see a lot of good games tonight. Jersey Joe says, I had two boys who played for Malden. My daughter's on to go Fountain Inn, and my wife teaches at Christ Church. So he's all over the place. I absolutely love it. But some really good games tonight, Diesel. Tiger Stripes Media on YouTube says, go Greenwood Eagles. They have a big one tonight, and this is going to be a lot of fun. A lot of really quality matchups across the board in high school football tonight.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot here, Cole. I know that you cover high school football here in the upstate of South Carolina, but is there a game or two down in the lower part of the state that you say could rival the kind of matchup that we're going to see between Burns Gaffney or Dorman Spartanburg?
White Knoll, Dutch Fork. You have Nick Pelham at White Knoll, a Dutch Fork guy who knows Dutch Fork as good as anybody. I don't know that White Knoll has the horses in the Midlands tonight to knock off Tom Knotts because they've already been beaten once this year by Oceanside. But I do believe that game might be one of the bigger games across the state. Looking from a big picture standpoint, Nick Pelham has been in every conversation. Every time a big job opens, Nick Pelham's in the conversation. I think that game, to answer your question, could be fun tonight. Dutch Fork versus White Knoll. Nick Pelham trying to kind of get that revenge on his former team. That should be a lot of fun.
A lot of upset picks are coming in. Tolos, that's awesome. Keep them coming. 844-326-3663. And I'm also going to call you out as this texter has. He says, I love how anytime Cole has to talk about WWHS. Who is WW? Wade Hampton. That's WHHS.
Yeah, I would imagine he's talking about Wade Hampton there.
He says he runs circles. You run circles around the size of Texas to avoid saying they're a bad team. It has been, always will be. Good God, Joey. Kicking them while they're down, man.
What do you say about them? What do you say about them? They don't win many football games. You try to be respectful while saying they aren't any good, so it's tough. But that's a funny text.
Texter says that he just passed 6 App State buses rolling on I-85 by Pelham Road. They're going down to Atlanta to take on the Georgia State Panthers in the old Brave Stadium, which is still a weird spot to go watch a football game. Man. If you ever just have a weird random Saturday in Atlanta, go catch a game. I think they call it Center Park Stadium now. It's an odd field. It's interesting because you're still in the old home of the Atlanta Braves, but it's a weird spot. That's where they were headed, Texter.
And real quick about that, I think it's also tough for opponents to play there, because it's not the best game day atmosphere. It's kind of weird. So I think App State should win, but it might be a little bit tricky.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Georgia State always tends to get some real long, lanky wide receivers. And if you got a quarterback who can get the ball up there in jump ball situations, Georgia State can hurt you. They really can. Yeah. I mean, look, they beat Vandy a couple of years ago. I know it was Vandy before Vandy was Vandy, but still. When we come back, Cole, let's do our daily whip around the sports world, see what else is happening out there in a fast-paced segment we call our Daily Wires next.
844-326-3663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
Well, Tolos, as it sometimes is on this show, we get a little too into the conversation and go a little bit long, so we don't have time to do our daily wires here, but I am going to push you to get in your upset picks right now for week number 7, and it makes me sad to say week number 7, but hey, there's still a lot of football left to go over the course of the season. Go to ESPN.com, find a game where you think the betting underdog will win the game outright, and then text us at 844-326-3663. Give us your name, your game, and the spread. For example, we got a bunch of Tolos getting it right. This is how it needs to sound when you text in. Isaac, Illinois, plus 14.5 over Ohio State. That is what your upset pick should look like. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Smitty, Matt Smith of SportsTalk Media Network. He's going to give us his upset pick. That's coming your way next on the Fan Upstate. Be anything.
Electrifying sports talk from start
Lights
to
out.
finish
You're going wire to wire
with Diesel and Cole Bryson.
on the Fan Upstate.
Clemson with a big one this weekend on the road. South Carolina with an even bigger one on the road this weekend. Both in-state programs on the road again. And to talk about it, to preview both games and to give you his thoughts on South Carolina's road trip to Baton Rouge as well as Clemson's trip to Boston, we bring on Matt Smith, Smitty of Sports Talk Media Network. He joins the show every single Friday at 4 p.m., and I have been told by Diesel back in the Ingles Market Studios as I'm live at Gaffney, Smitty, that you have something to tell me. Have I misbehaved here? Have I done? Did I forget to send you your check? What did I do here?
No, completely off air. Completely off air.
Are you sure?
Yeah, not for public consumption.
Why though? Why?
Oh, that means it's juicy.
Oh yeah.
Smitty,
Boy, juice.
let's come on, bring it on. Nah, I guess not.
Smitty, Bubala, I've known you for 20 years. Come on.
Well, I guess Smitty's not one to bring private conversations on the air. I mean, what fun is that guy?
It'd be, no. See, now it's a non-issue because then I would say it and be like, oh, yeah, remember, I wanted to know how to dry clean that Adidas jacket I got from you last year. It's just boring. It's boring. But what I will say, what's exciting is you being Burns Gaffney, for one thing. Yeah. I mean, one of the most intense rivalries in high school football in our state. I've always loved that one. And I feel like it's, I don't know, somewhat new, or maybe when I was growing up it had taken a dip, but then it just became where both of them, it was kind of like Burns hit that really high peak between Coach Bentley and Coach Chris Miller. And then Gaffney said, well, wait a minute. We got more state titles than you do still. And it just was this back and forth. And I just love the intensity of that rivalry.
And it's a close one, by the way. Gaffney leads by 2 wins right now. It is 22-20. It's a close one. You're right. It's not the old, rich tradition rivalry of Gaffney or of Dorman-Spartanburg that goes all the way back to the late 50s, early 60s. Smitty, before we move on from high school football, and sorry to step on your toes here, Diesel, Smitty, can I throw a stat, since you're a Dorman guy, can I throw a stat at you before we leave the high school football conversation?
Oh, of course.
So you're a Dorman guy. Spartanburg is your home, right? You're from there. Spartanburg leads the series over Dorman by 25 games, okay? That's not the stat that I want to give you, but here's the stat. Entering the year 2000, now these two teams started playing each other in the late 50s, early 60s. Entering the year 2000, Smitty, how many regular season wins did Dorman have over Spartanburg in a near 40, 45-year span?
Not many for sure. I don't know if Dale Evans got any. Dave Gutshaw Dave Gutshaw got hired to the job 1993 or 90. Yeah, I think 93.
Yep.
And that's when it began. Maybe they had one before that, and they would have gotten a couple in the 90s. So I'm going to say 3.
3. Dead on the money. 3 wins in a near 40-year span from the late 50s all the way to the year 2000. 3 regular season wins, 2 postseason wins. But, man, it's a really good, to your point, long, old rivalry.
Yeah, and look, that changed. All due respect to everybody that was there at Dorman. Spartanburg was a superpower, obviously, under Doc Davis when Dave Gutshaw got the job. And Coach Davis would tell you this, because I used to ask him if you could add anybody from the area to your staff, who would it be? And he said, Dave Gutshaw. I love Coach Gutshaw. He's so brilliant. I hope, I'm talking about old-time 90s high school football. I hope everybody remembers these names and is listening. But the point is, Dave Gutshaw changed that.
Yep.
He elevated Dorman football to new heights. And then, of course, look, there was also the so many people that moved to the west side of Spartanburg, and then some of that ended up at Burns as well, and that's when Burns became, much larger in terms of attendance and became a superpower itself. But I always give credit to Dave Gutshaw. He changed the nature of that rivalry. Starting in about 93 when he upset Spartan High in the playoffs, I believe. Then 94, they met in the state championship. That's enough. I digress. But I love that Dorman-Spartanburg rivalry, and I love Burns Gaffney as well. So you're in for a treat.
Smitty, Cole brought you back to where you're from. Now I'm going to take you to where you live right now on the eastern part of the state, up there in the Myrtle Beach Conway area. Just how much trouble is Tim Beck in as a head coach of the Chanticleers? Obviously Jamie Chadwell, kind of really elevated that program onto a national scale and made Coastal a fun, cool place to be, and it really hasn't gone that well. I think he's 2 games over 500, but that's not where the Coastal faithful want this program to be. Is he in win now, or it may cost him his job mode?
I don't know. I don't know enough about how he's viewed internally. I do know it's hard to follow a legend, and what Jamie Chadwell was not there for that long, but what he did at Coastal Carolina was legendary.
Yeah.
He put them on the map on a national scale. He didn't quite reach the heights at Coastal as to what, say, a Boise State has done or Fresno State did years and years ago. But he certainly caught people's attention and was taking them bowl games and obviously Challenge Conference championships. It was a big deal. It was a very, very big deal. Here's where I think Tim Beck got caught up a little bit. Through no fault of his own, we're in that he walked right into that transfer portal era. And maybe even Chadwell was there at the tail end at Coastal before he took the job at Liberty. But what I'm going to say is just something happened. I think we all recognize this, where there was this cocktail of NIL and transfer portal, and then all the court cases that were coming, and then the Pavia decision. And it just seemed like it was a bad time to take a job at a Group of 5 school, because everybody was trying to transfer up, go after bigger money at bigger schools. And I just feel like he was kind of caught in a sandwich spot at Coastal Carolina, where he lost some really good players, really quality players, to the transfer portal. And you're not getting nearly as many out of the transfer portal because of your situation in the Group of 5. And so I think they have to, all of these Group of 5 schools have to, if you're not one of the ones with deep pockets, like I think USF has some money behind its program, and some others that have money at that level. If you're more of that Sunbelt level, I mean, easily, App State, I don't think they're what they should be right now. And I think that everybody has to recalibrate in this NIL transfer portal and navigate their way through it. And to be honest, I think maybe we should give these Group of 5 coaches a little bit of rope right now until they can wrap their arms around this.
And Smitty, let's keep the conversation there with Chadwell. Diesel and I and a couple of listeners were having this conversation earlier this week. Liberty is 1-4, 1-3, something like that. A bad start going into this week, at least that was their record, of just a not Jamie Chadwell typical team up there at Liberty. They don't look like the typical Jamie Chadwell led teams. What do you think about Jamie Chadwell as a potential college coach at the next level? And in your opinion, does it kind of feel like if this starts to slip a little bit at Liberty, Chadwell's peak maybe missed his opportunity to make a jump a couple of years ago?
I look at it the other way. I think some teams may have missed their chance, because you do get hot names sometimes. You remember Tom Herman, right? I mean, there's just these names that pop up and then they fade away because the game changes, or they go through some, a couple of poor recruiting cycles, whatever it may be. I love Jamie Chadwell as an offensive coach. Love him. And I know him a little bit. I think he would be fantastic. I think what happened at Liberty this year, and now they also have some, by the way, they have some money behind them, which I'm sure is one of the reasons he took the job. He could see this coming. Liberty's got some money behind what they want to do athletically. But it's a very unique situation, without touching the third rail here and talking about any of the scandals that they'd had internally previously. But as you know, they are very a religious university, and they had some problems with Jay Falwell Jr. back in the past. And I just don't know where everything is at Liberty right now. But I think Jamie Chadwell is a brilliant head coach, a great guy. I think he'd be a great fit at the right program. Look at what Clark Lee is doing at Vanderbilt. Now, he's doing it because from the defensive side. But I think you get Jamie Chadwell and the right quarterback, like he had the Chadwell-Grayson McCall connection at Coastal Carolina. You could recreate that somewhere. Let him pick his quarterback. Let him go get his guys and hire him at some, I don't know, mid to lower tier SEC or ACC program. I'm on board. Now, as far as what's happening to them this year, I don't know. They had a couple of games early. They were scoring points, but they couldn't tackle anybody and were losing. And then I think they just won this week, a midweek game, 19-8. So he might have had to change what he was doing to try to protect his defense. But I don't know. I do not cover Liberty. I do not want to cover Liberty. But I really, really like Jamie Chadwell. And if he starts winning again, I think his name will pop up again in those coaching searches.
So, Smitty, it's funny. Earlier today, I was, moving around on the internet as you do, and there was a link that maybe had Jamie Chadwell as a target for UCLA. Could you imagine Jamie Chadwell's good old boy, fast talking style in LA?
No, I could not. I don't think he'd take. He would take. The money and all of that, and the prestige and coaching in the Big Ten. That's right, old timers. UCLA is a Big Ten team now. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I don't know about that. Because I just don't think I don't know if that would be a cultural fit. Now, sometimes that works. South Carolina's got a road trip this week to Brian Kelly. I've been told by everybody that covers LSU that does work now. That Brian Kelly at LSU, it doesn't look like from the outside it would have been a good marriage, but internally they really like it. They like that fit now. But I don't think Jamie Chadwell would head that far west. I could be wrong. I just and football is football. I certainly know that football is football. They play it out there too. But I just think when he gets his job, when he gets his big opportunity, I think it's coming in the state of Tennessee, state of North Carolina, state of Virginia, something like that.
We're joined by Matt Smith, Smitty of SportsTalk Media Network, right here on the Fan Upstate. Smitty, when you look at the team in the Upstate heading north to Boston this weekend, an ACC game, it's a night game up there, and Clemson had a really good first quarter a week ago in North Carolina. What are your thoughts on Clemson's second week in a row where they should take care of business, but you have the naysayers out there who you still believe that Clemson has their struggles? It seems like Clemson could roll again in this one and maybe put together more of a complete game. What are your initial thoughts on Clemson at BC?
Yeah, and I'll be covering that one. I've got an early flight to Logan International Airport, and I'll be there on site. And
Wow.
I anticipate Clemson winning. I expect them to play well, but as the season, each season takes on kind of an identity of its own. There's ebbs and flows, and one of the things we recognize now is, Georgia Tech was a pretty good football team. And I think that was anticipated by a lot of people, but they just didn't have the brand name heading into the season, and so Clemson got beaten there. Now, look, there's no excuse for losing to Syracuse at home, especially the way that they did, looking the way that they did. But Clemson bounced back in a big way, beating the most dysfunctional program in the Atlantic Coast Conference, operated by Bill Belichick. Go figure. I don't know how that happened, but that's what they are. And so now they're playing a team where Clemson's just flat out much better on paper. As a matter of fact, and I hope no one up there is listening. Like, I'm making this trip, and I'm looking forward to the trip and all of that. Looking forward to covering football, which I do every weekend. I love that. Should Boston College even be in the same conference? What are we doing here? We were talking about identity earlier and rivalries, Burns and Gaffney, Spartanburg and Dorman. What is Boston College and Clemson? What are they playing with each other for?
Yeah.
This makes no sense to me. I've never believed Boston College should be in this conference. So anyway, making the trip, but you talk about culturally, like the way they care about football in that Boston area. They're like, yeah, what about the Patriots? Well, who's your second favorite team? I don't know, the Patriots. Well, what if you couldn't watch the Patriots game? I'm still in the Patriots. They don't care about this. A third of the stadium or more is going to be Clemson fans making the flight up. So I think Clemson's going to win. I'm really bad-mouthing Boston College here. They have to catch lightning in a bottle when they're good. They do it every now and then. They have Matt Ryan, but I don't think they've got much of a chance. I know Clemson's 14-point favorites. I don't expect – if Clemson comes out flat or they come out hot, it doesn't matter. I think Clemson wins in this game. Now, what does that prove to you? Very little. It would just be another opportunity for Clemson to put one foot in front of the other and get right this season. That's what it would be more than anything.
If it was up to Smitty, he would resurrect the now defunct Yankee Conference. Smitty.
Absolutely. Yes. What are you talking about? Yes. Yes. Please bring the Big East back and put. Oh, well, I guess the Big East exists, but bring Big East football back and put some teams in it. Boston College should be playing Syracuse and West Virginia, not Clemson and Florida State.
So, Smitty, you talked about it being a get-right game against North Carolina last week. It seems certainly it was a get-right game for Cade Klubnik to the tune of 254. I think he only threw 2 incomplete passes the whole game, 4 touchdowns. If you had to put your crystal ball in your hand, do they try to use this game as a get-right for the ground game? Do you see any kind of maybe stubbornness to try to really establish Adam Randall as a really good running back? Because we've even seen, last week we saw him get out and catch the ball and run with it more often than he did, taking it as a true running back. And I don't know if they have they found a back that can do it the way a running back is supposed to do it on paper.
Well, that's a good question. I agree that the running game at Clemson, it still kind of looks like they're putting, for lack of a better term, they kind of got a wide receiver at running back. And yes, Adam Randall's doing a fine job, but and the numbers are there. The numbers are there. But do they count on it in a big moment? And I don't anticipate them having many of those this week. But big moment down the road, 3rd and 2 against Florida State. Do they trust that offensive line and Adam Randall and the running game, just the straight up run game, enough to just run it right at a really good defense? And I don't know the answer to that yet. And I do anticipate them running the football a lot because they need to get confident. They need their linemen confident. They need play calling confident. They need everybody on the same page and believing that run game can carry them to victories the way it did 2, 3, 4 seasons ago.
Smitty, is Clemson in the ACC at this point in the schedule something in the back of your garage that you forgot was there until you start doing the spring cleaning and you realize, oh, that's there. I hadn't seen that in a few weeks. To your point about Boston College, Clemson's still obviously going to be talked about in our neck of the woods because we're in the upstate. But, boy, it's hard to really, to your point, really find a measurable data point that gives us any indication that this game Saturday is really going to mean a lot when it's all said and done.
Probably not, because if you look at some of the old games from 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago, 4 seasons ago, remember, you never know. A team can have a great year, but then they fell asleep at the wheel and were almost upset by a 3-win team, or vice versa. You can see a team that you thought, that pulled an upset. What if UCLA doesn't go anywhere from here? What if UCLA just beats Penn State and then the rest of the year they win one more game? That could happen. So you don't know. So these games aren't measuring sticks. And that's what I meant by put one foot in front of the other. I think what's most important for Clemson right now is getting back into the rhythm of looking how they want to look. It's not always just about results, how many passing yards you put up or how many points are on the board. Just the fact that Clemson can practice the right way and then go out and beat an opponent like Boston College the way that they're supposed to. And again, I took some shots at Boston College a minute ago, but the point is, it doesn't even matter. If they win by 10, that they look good and confident and solid and all buttoned up. Both coordinators executed their game plan. Cade Klubnik looked like himself. And to Diesel's point, the run game is on track. All those things, Peter Woods is getting pressure. All those things happen, and there's no glaring weakness. That's what Clemson needs to do. And there are games, most of their games are like this, right? I mean, is at Louisville? I know that's a road game, but how big a test is that? I don't know. Clemson's season from here on in is going to be decided by how they play in games like against Florida State, against South Carolina.
Smitty, what are your measuring sticks now for Mike Shula 5-6 games into his tenure as a South Carolina offensive coordinator. The offense has not gotten off to the hot start that I think a lot of people hoped that they would. And in his availability this past week, he said, well, to me, balance is kind of doing a little bit of everything, but, being good at everything or trying to be good at everything usually means you're not specializing in anything. So, if you're talking about steps for a Mike Shula-led offense, what are the next maybe 1, 2, 3 things you're looking for out of his offense?
Well, I think this question is timely because I think it's this week. I think this is the week because South Carolina is coming off. 2 weeks ago was its best performance of the year in the win over Kentucky. Last week, bye week. So you can reset, you can self-scout, you can do all the things you need to do and want to do with a team with some new pieces in place. This is the test. LSU's got a great defense. You saw that holding Clemson to 10 points on the road, and even though they lost to Ole Miss, that wasn't really, for the most part, that wasn't on the defense. The offense didn't come through for Brian Kelly's group. So this is the test. This is the week. Everybody's been talking about the run game, and rightfully so. Okay, Coach Shula, get it fixed. Now, look, they've got injuries along the offensive line. Casey Henry is not going to play this week again. So I've eased up on their offensive line play. Some of this has to do now with injuries. But this is the week. And South Carolina has to get big plays. You need some explosives to beat LSU. There's too many athletes on that team. Your defense can go play great, but you're not going to beat this LSU group 7-3. The guys on offense are going to have to make plays, and that is Mike Shula's group. That is his job. I think everybody will tell you there's talent there. There's absolutely talent, on the outside. There's talent with Lenore Sellers, and those running backs had much better numbers at their last stops before South Carolina. Like Rasul Faison was a better runner at Utah State than he has been at South Carolina. So this is the test. Get it fixed. You had a feel-good win over Kentucky. Crowd was going crazy. Everybody celebrated. Then you had a week off. Now you have a road trip. Prove it. Show it to us.
Smitty, do you think South Carolina's turnover ability on defense and their ability to score off of defensive turnovers and put points on the board from that unit, do you think that has kicked the can down the road on this pressure on Mike Shula? Because if it weren't for that defense, we think the pressure's hot now. This defense has saved them at times this year and special teams.
Yep, 42 points from defense and special teams.
Ooh.
That's not setting them up. That's actually taking the ball and putting it in the end zone, right? So,
right.
That's been a big part of what's happened at South Carolina. And yeah, I do. I think absolutely, because sometimes when you win the way they did against Kentucky, you don't talk about the offense much, even though the numbers aren't huge, but the offense looked much better. I think everyone would agree with that. But looking back, I was just glancing at the statistics. The best South Carolina's run game has looked this year, both by the eye test and statistically, was that opener against Virginia Tech. And no one really knew what to expect, but those were the best numbers that South Carolina was able to put up on the ground. So maybe they can get back to that. So I mentioned self-scouting. I have to think there is something that South Carolina is showing either in formations or the way that they are aligning, the alignment, something is tipping people off because every time we all see it. Every time they hand the football off to Oscar Attaway or Rasul Faison, they're dodging somebody in the backfield. So they're either blowing assignments or getting beaten right at the point of attack. And I just have to believe it's more about the other team almost knows what's coming. And so anyway, they had a week off. They should get that fixed.
Smitty, I don't know if you realize this or probably heard this online, but we are, I think, now on day number 2 of 49 straight days where we're going to have some form of college football or NFL on television every day for 49 straight days. Of those 49, if you had to guess, how many of those will you be consuming football of some kind?
Well, I finally grew up and I stopped watching whatever that pillow fight is that ESPN puts on Wednesday.
Oh my gosh.
Finally, I decided, I got to stop this. I don't want I don't want to go to therapy over watching, betting on like Conference USA football on a Wednesday. So I put that away. But yeah, I will watch a lot of it. I will watch a lot. I'll tell you, I watched quite a bit of Tulane ECU last night.
That was my upset pick.
No, you love ECU in that spot, but obviously it didn't work out, and they had the lead in the fourth quarter.
Smitty,
I love them in that spot.
Before we get your upset,
I'll watch it 40 out of 49. I don't know.
Smitty, before we get your upset pick, speaking of pillow fights, I mean, what are we talking about getting bailed out the way that your Dodgers did last night?
Oh, we'll take it. We'll take it.
I'm sure you will. So there we go. Upset pick time.
I couldn't stay up. I couldn't stay up all night. No one was ever going to score in that game until somebody threw a ball.
Yeah.
No one was scoring against those pitchers. I don't know if you have any Phillies fans listening, but you've got some studs on the mound. Well, so those two guys, you got some studs, and I know that core for the Phillies is getting older, right? And you've got to re-sign Schwarber and a lot of things, but I tip my cap to the way the Phillies pitched in that series. It just was a funky. It looked like fumbling at the goal line that happened to them. I know that hurts the fans.
You got an upset pick, Smitty?
Man, I don't know. I'm so ice cold, and not only am I cold now. Last year I kept missing the upset pick, but I was close. There were good games. It was like your pick last night, ECU Tulane. Like that was a great selection. That absolutely could have happened if the game plays out differently, a bounce here or there. Mine have been the opposite. I picked Florida State last week, and they didn't show up against Miami. That game was over by halftime. I know they ended up having like an onside kick at the end or whatever, but that was an illusion. I was wrong. I was just flat out wrong about that pick in it, entirely. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna ruin, but I'll ruin some weekends here. I shouldn't do this. I was gonna say, what if I jinx everybody and take the Gamecocks? Oh, your Gamecock fans will be so mad because I'm like 0 for the last 8 upset picks. So I won't do that, but I really do like South Carolina to play well on the road at LSU. But I guess I'll go upset pick. I'm going to take, how about this? UCLA to do it twice in a row. Michigan State's not good. UCLA, normally you have this huge letdown. I'm going to take UCLA, didn't even practice this week. All they did was party. They went out with their girlfriends and danced in the club every night. They take that. They didn't even look at the film. But everything changed when they beat Penn State. I'm going to say they go across the country to Michigan and beat a bad Michigan and pull the upset over a bad Michigan State.
Wow. And hey, that could change the narrative, right? On Nico, if he could get it done 2 weeks in a row, it's not changing it by a lot, but it certainly starts rounding that corner. And you wouldn't have been alone, Matt. 20 Tolos so far have taken South Carolina to upset LSU, but that's not a surprise. We're in Gamecock country.
But I know, but I'd be jinxing them. You see, that's the problem. I don't want to. They would say, no, we don't want that pick. We don't want that one. This guy goes for his last 8. We don't want that one.
Here's the thing, Smitty. I was watching that East Carolina Tulane game last night, and as I was watching it, Tulane started pulling away. I stopped watching the game because I said, this crap is over. East Carolina mounts the comeback. I turned the game back on in the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden they got 2 left feet. They can't do anything, and Tulane marches right down the field for a score. So I guess I should just not watch the game at all. You want to talk about a jinx? I'm the jinx.
Yes. Well, Diesel, you are a human flat tire. You bring everything to a screeching halt.
Ouch.
No, I'm kidding. No, I was with you too. I was with you. If I would have been on the show yesterday instead of today, I might have taken that too. I loved that pick. I love that pick. I think you were on the right side. That game got funky as ECU Tulane Thursday night games tend to do.
Tulane found a way to shut down Caden Hauser, and that guy's been amazing all season long, and Tulane just shut him down. Smitty, we appreciate your time as always, and safe travels up to Boston. See you, man.
See you guys. Have fun tonight.
Yes, sir. Matt Smith, Sports Talk Radio Network. as he comes on with us every single Friday on the Fan Upstate. Every time we have him on, Cole, we have Tolo say, "Oh, I remember Smitty. I've been listening to Smitty on the airwaves in the Upstate for a long, long time. He's a fan favorite." So that's why we love talking up with him and having long interviews.
I just wish he would
stuff.
Well, Diesel, I have one complaint with Smitty. I just wish he would go a little bit longer, give us a little bit more. Short answers for Smitty. Just 1 or 2 word answers don't cut it around here, man.
That's funny. That's funny. The irony of what you just said. We got upset picks coming in fast and furious. Very upsetting. Gus Mosley getting his picks in. We got Michael from Simpsonville, Tigerville Bo. You know who we haven't heard from, though, Cole? We haven't heard from Dave Mosley.
Oh, the leader.
Dave Mosley.
The leader.
So Gus, don't you say a word, okay? I know you two know each other. Don't say a word for the field. For the sake of everybody else in this challenge, keep your mouth shut. Don't let him know that his pick is due. And when we come back, Cole, there's something big going down in college football that's going to change the way we watch it. I just want to know, is it going to bug the hell out of you the way that's going to bug the hell out of me?
And, Diesel, I am going to beg for something in the next segment. Okay. And I mean beg, on my knees, pleading. I'll tell you what it is next.
844 fan phone. This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
Man, I have never wanted a commercial break to end earlier, worse than I did just now, because behind Cole there, he's live at Gaffney High School, going to be calling the Burns-Gaffney game here at 7 o'clock. The band was practicing the Star-Spangled Banner, and by God, that's patriotism, and I wanted to put that on the airwaves, Cole.
I got goosebumps.
There's nothing more patriotic than the national anthem, and there's nothing more American, Cole, than commercials. Ads. Every single flipping place you look, and I'm getting tired of it. I don't know about you, Cole. I'm exhausted with the nonstop politics. It's infused into everything these days, and I'm exhausted with the nonstop advertising. You cannot get away from it. Ever. Like, commercial breaks are getting longer and longer in football broadcasts. You saw it showing up in those little foam triangle things they put down the lengths of the sidelines in the camera angle shots. Then they started approving it to put it on the field. And now, Cole, it seems like they're right there on the edge of putting advertising messages on players' jerseys in college football, and I am mad as hell about it.
But you're not going to be able to see it, are you? I mean, how do you see?
I got a high-def 4K TV. I'm going to be able to see it.
I don't. I have one of those big box. I'm still operating on, what was that, old SD? I mean, I'm way behind.
Floor model. Is that what you're saying? Like
one
of those wooden boxes that our grandparents used to have in their
That's
gyms?
right. And so I don't love it. But where are they going to put, like, on the shoulders?
I guess. Shoulders, maybe back of the helmet. I don't know, man. You know, it's like, why do these helmets have to have a warning label on? Like, we know. We know. Who is that? You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
You zoom in close enough, you see the warning. This helmet is designed to keep your eggs from being scrambled. And, like, who is that warning for? Like, why don't you sell that as ad space? Because if we're watching on television, we don't need to read that warning. And for the players, they already know. Like, what's the point in putting it on there? It's like putting the hot label on a cup of coffee at McDonald's. Like, we know it's hot. It's coffee.
No, I'm with you. I don't love it either. Unfortunately, like, when you say that on the air, on the radio, it doesn't, like, shock me. You know, it's the age we live in. To your point, there's advertisements on everything. Diesel, for example, I'm sitting in Gaffney High School's press box, and where I'm sitting right now, I am going to count. I'm going to do this live on the air, okay? Talking about advertising being everywhere. You ready for this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I'm looking at the scoreboard now. 24, 25, 26, plus an old limestone university sign. 26 ads within my eyesight of just sitting right here. So, yeah. I mean, there's high school stadiums now, Diesel, that have them, the logo so big on the field, it's hideous. And the Gamecocks do, right? With Blanchard Machine or whatever it is. They're tattooed on the field. So, unfortunately, it doesn't really surprise me.
So the impetus for this conversation, Cole, and how it is going to continue to affect college football and may upset some, is that LSU has just signed an exclusive multi-million-dollar sponsorship with Woodside Energy, wherever that is and whatever that is, to feature the company's logo on their jerseys for all 21 varsity sports starting in 2026, pending NCAA approval. The agreement, which was led by LSU's athletic director, Scott Woodward, comes days after the NCAA proposed allowing one commercial patch per uniform, with a potential vote coming in December. So LSU wasting no time whatsoever. You know, they knew this was coming, and they started having conversations. Who's going to pay us a couple $1 million? I do like that it is for all varsity sports and not just for football. I like that if a volleyball player has to wear it, the volleyball player is going to get some little piece of money too.
Yeah, it's you said it's all sports.
All sports.
It has to be, right? I guess it has to be all sports. There's no right, and that's what I was thinking there too, Diesel. Before I send it to break real quick, can I beg you one thing? Can I beg of you? I have some begging to do.
Oh, God.
And I need the Tolos' help on this. I am, on this Friday at 4:42, asking for a revolt with myself and the Tolos like we've never seen on the Hub City Spartan Motors text line, Diesel. I need the Tolos' help behind this. Here's what I'm asking. No, here's what I'm demanding.
Oh, okay. Man. Oh, okay. Now
you're going to change. Sam Levitt's out for Arizona State. Sam Levitt, the quarterback, is out after we all of us Tolos submitted Arizona State over Utah as our upset pick, and I am asking, pleading, begging, demanding, Diesel, that you and Dan B, please let us change our upset pick. Please, this is not fair. Sam Levitt's, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and now we're going to have to just suffer because Sam Levitt's out?
But didn't you spend the whole show yesterday and the day before just bagging on Utah? Like,
no, I never did such
who gives a rip? They have little girly hands. Like, you were saying all kinds of mean things about Utah. We have 10 Tolos who have taken Arizona State to upset Utah. As a matter of fact, Nashty just did like 5 minutes ago. I don't think Nashty knew that Sam Levitt was out for the game.
Please, Diesel, please.
At this point, we have 117 Tolos who have gotten their upset picks in.
Yeah.
10 of them took this game. So you're going to need a yes from all 107 of the other Tolos who have picked and chose not to pick this game.
All right, deal.
If you can do that, I got your back.
So let me ask you this. I need 107 text messages from different numbers, right? And I'm going to frustrate the you-know-what out of you now that the text line's about to blow up. I need 107 yeses. No's? I don't want to see a freaking no on the text line, okay? I swear I'll block you. I don't want to see any no's on there. This is not fair. We picked Sam Levitt. We didn't pick Arizona State. We picked Sam Levitt, and we're going to demand justice here, Diesel.
April Mosley on the stream says, "No way, Cole. No." Jersey Joe says, "Absolutely freaking not." Jersey Joe,
come on. April, come on.
Dog says there ain't no changing, Cole. So now you're 0 for 3.
God. Zach Wofford on YouTube says, have you done your high school picks for tonight's game? Zach, we did it 3:20. You can go back on the free Odyssey app or the fanupstate.com and hear those. Well, I'll continue the begging. I'll continue the pleading and see if it gets. I'm going to need 106 text messages.
You did know that you could have made your pick after the injury report came out,
I didn't know. Also, Eric Hines, Diesel, on the Hub City Spartan Motors text line says, so if they advertise in swimming, would the advertisements be on the back of the Speedos? Wow. What a text from Eric Hines. I can tell you.
Honestly, it's a smart play, to be honest.
Sure.
You want to put the ads where people are looking, right?
Yeah, you do. You do. Eric Hines, by the way, what was the Eagles score last night? Did the Eagles win last night? Did the Eagles win last night, Eric Hines? 2 weeks in a row. I have been so happy. The air is cleaner today, Diesel. It's just, there's something about it. 2 weeks in a row, the filthy birds have lost, and life couldn't be better. I
am so disappointed in these Tolos who are texting in right now. Gus Mosley says, yeah, you should be able to change your pick.
Yes.
Corn Chip says, I'll give Cole a sympathy yes. But see, Corn Chip's constitutions are weakened right now because his Georgia Southern Eagles almost mounted a fury comeback against Southern Miss last night, but couldn't get it done. But the answer is still no.
Okay, Matt, I'm going to hold a grudge. These are you and I official predictions, Clemson, Boston College, as well as the Tolos predictions for that game tomorrow next.
844-263-6663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
A very, very quick segment here, Diesel, but you and I have to go on record as we are about to do our weekend menu in the next segment, looking at the best games in every time slot this weekend. But before we do that, put your prediction hat on. Clemson, Boston College, tomorrow night. It's a night game in Chestnut Hill. Clemson coming off of a win, Diesel, over North Carolina last week. What is your prediction for how this one plays out? I'll give you mine as well. But Diesel's prediction for Clemson, Boston College tomorrow night.
Well, tomorrow's weather in Boston going to be kind of like what it is here today. I'm wondering if maybe it gets a little bit chilly and that slows things down just a little bit for some of these teams. But it's not going to be bad, right? They're going to be in, upper 50s, for the majority of that game. And that's football playing weather. So it's going to be basically perfect. I think Clemson has found something, what they found last week at North Carolina. You may see that a time or two. And Clemson gets up big and then just sort of takes their foot off the gas. I'm going to say Clemson 38, Boston College. I think they're going to score. They're not as inept as North Carolina is. 38-17.
38-17. I think, you know what? I'm not far off from you there. I'm going to go, I like 38-17. I'm going to go Clemson scores a little more. I'm going to go 40. 40. I think Clemson scores a lot Saturday night. I think Clemson scores 40 points. A get back on track, more consistent full game approach Saturday night at Chestnut Hill. And Boston College will score 14. 40-14. It'll be a dragging. I was one touchdown off, Diesel, on my prediction last week for Clemson, North Carolina. I'm going to go 40-14 blowout, like you said.
We're going to stay right here with the college football conversation. In the next segment, we'll do our weekly weekend menu, looking at each time slot, the relative noon, 3:30, 7 o'clock kickoff slots, the best game in each slot, and which one do we think, if we can only watch one, that's the one. That's coming up next.
fields to the courts, and the gridiron to the tracks.
Electrifying sports talk from start to finish
You're going wire to wire
with Diesel and Cole Bryson.
on the Fan Upstate.
You know, Cole, this weekend's slate of games kind of reminds me, and we all know this kind of place, the restaurant that you go to that you know has a fairly large menu, but they really do one or two things exceptionally well. And that's all you ever order at that restaurant is like one of two things, because in both our noon and 3:30 time slots, Cole, there's really only two good games in each of those time slots. I mean, and I don't want to be disingenuous and waste our time going like deep in some of the non-ranked matchups that we have.
Right.
But 7 o'clock, though, that's when things start getting pretty good tomorrow and brings in a little more local interest. What we do in this segment every Friday at 5 o'clock, we go down the tastiest games in each time slot of the college football slate tomorrow, and we say, hey, if we could only watch one game in that time slot, which game would it be? Now, Cole's got fancy YouTube TV where you can watch four games at the same time, but pretend for a second you don't have
We're
it.
going to start tonight, by the way.
If you want.
Are we ready?
Start tonight.
Well, you mentioned the restaurant with one, the same
Are
thing.
you hungry now?
Kind of. I'm just curious if there's anything worth looking at. I mean, there's one ranked team, South Florida. In South Florida, they're not really a ranked team. I mean, somebody has to be 24, right? So they're just giving it to South Florida. They play North Texas.
North Texas is 5-0, though.
It's true.
Here's the thing. North Texas is 5-0, and I saw something yesterday. I almost put it on the Daily Wires, but I didn't. North Texas sold out their stadium for the first time since, 2016.
Really?
This game. Yeah.
That's big time because they're not known as a football school,
No,
I think they're known for band, other things, and 5-0 is a big deal in the American Conference, at least.
Yeah, so this may actually be a sneaky, really good football game. I just always question what the atmosphere is like at stadiums that aren't used to selling out. It's like at Duke, you watch a game for Duke basketball, and those students know what to do every single second of every single play. But are the fans who are going to this North Texas game, are they going to know that this is the chant we do on first down, this is what we do on in the fourth quarter, that kind of thing?
You know what? Well, you're right. Looking at it, to your point, Rutgers, Washington might be okay, but I don't think anything. I mean, they'll be worth having on, right?
Sure.
In the background.
Sure. It's definitely going to be worth having on, but you won't be watching it because you are going to be calling the game, which may be a better football game, to be honest.
Could be.
Let's go to the noon slot tomorrow, Cole, kind of the appetizer. This is what gets you going for the day. In the noon slot, you got two really good football games, and this is going to be hard to pick from. Number 1, Ohio State at number 17, Illinois. So you got the best team in the land going on the road against a pretty good football team. And then you've got number 8, Alabama on the road at Missouri. Might be one of the most fun college football teams and programs right now in a phenomenal SEC environment. We saw it a couple of weeks ago when South Carolina was there.
Alabama, Missouri's up there just because of their resurgence, right, in the last few weeks. What was the first one you said, though?
Ohio State, Illinois.
Yeah, I just want to know, I guess in that game, you kind of feel like after Ohio State's been through the Minnesotas of the world, and no disrespect to the Big Ten, but we talked about it yesterday, their schedule's not great. Penn State, they'll play Penn State later on. They don't play Oregon. So this is one of the few opportunities this year where we kind of watch this game with Ohio State and think, okay, they're 5-0, 2-0 in conference, but are they really going to be tested? To your point, Illinois is 17 in the country, but Diesel, Ohio State's still favored by 14.5 points. Luke Altmaier's a good quarterback. I don't know if Luke Altmaier's in the same conversation as, Julian Sayin, who's been really good as well, but you're talking about a 1,500-yard quarterback, 12 touchdowns, Luke Altmaier at home, right, in Illinois. I would like to see a good game here. To your point, there aren't a ton tomorrow that you look at and salivate over, but you would like to think, man, that Illinois, if you can't give Ohio State a game, what's that tell you about this conference?
That's true. That tells you that maybe they're pumping up these Illinois and these Indianas a little more than they deserve. And maybe that changes things next year or next week. And, not as willing to give these teams the benefit of the doubt. Before we move on to the 3:30 time slot, Cole, we have a sighting. One of the Tolos that we have been looking for.
No way.
For days and days and days. We haven't heard from this Tolo in a while. It's time to bring on the one, the only, Tom in Somerville.
Wow. No way.
He's still alive. He's still with us. The Gators haven't got him. Tom, where you been?
Hey, guys. It's a busy time of year, so I'm really
Too busy for us.
What are you doing, dude? It takes 2 minutes to call, Tom.
I know. Sometimes I don't get to leave the office at 5. You know, been busy.
Our show's on until 7.
I know. I work some days this week at 7:30. Okay. You know, it's been a bye week, so I've been working a lot. But hey, Tom is back. Tom is ready to watch the Gamecocks. And you know what? I might be wrong, but I just got a feeling that Shane Beamer and the Hosman are going to go down to Baton Rouge and get a victory. The Gamecocks are going to leave Baton Rouge with a victory.
Tom,
All right.
I want to know, Tom, if he's still there, what have you seen from the offense and the run game in particular that gives you hope and faith, that gives you this confident feeling that they're going to go down? Look, I know LSU's offense hasn't been good either, but we're talking about making this about South Carolina here. What kind of confidence, where are you getting this confidence from?
You know, I don't know, Cole. I don't know where it's coming from. Because there's nothing on the field that shows me the Gamecocks are going to go down there and win. I just got that Friday feeling that the Gamecocks are going to go down to Baton Rouge and win. I might wake up tomorrow and feel completely different. Maybe it's 5:08 on a Friday and the weekend is here. I don't know what it is, but I just got that feeling deep inside of me that the Gamecocks are going to shock the world tomorrow.
Okay.
Hey, Tom, I'm going to try this here for a second. I don't know if this is going to work because normally we have to do this on our computer screen, but my phone system on my computer screen is kind of messed up. We have another Tolo on the line who wants to talk to you, but I don't know for sure if I'm going to be able to lock you on, so I might lose you. But if we do, turn your radio back on, be listening because this next Tolo has some words for you. So hang on just 1 second. I'm going to try
Fingers crossed
to achieve something here. We're going to try to
make sure you cross the wires. Cross the wires. The red wire. The red wire.
Here we go. Tolo number 2 is on the air. Tolo number 2, what do you have to say to Tom?
Oh, it's about time you came back. It's been here. I've been busy, man. Yeah, me too.
No, you haven't, Dewey.
It's a busy time of the year watching football and drinking beer and watching sports. Hey, that's all we can do during, we got football on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's hard to find time to do things when you got games on every single night.
Yeah.
And you got baseball. You got it all right now.
Like 8 days a week.
The Braves ain't playing, so that takes care of that. But then watching the playoffs and the Yankees going down, and too bad the Dodgers didn't go down, but that's okay too. But the Phillies went down. And hey, that's a fashion last night. That's right. The Mariners are winning the World Series, Dewey. The Mariners are winning it all. Yeah.
Hey, Tom, we appreciate you, and don't be a stranger, man. Get your pick in next week.
I do want to say this. The best quarterback in the Big Ten plays football at Indiana. The discussion's over.
It's fair.
The quarterback in the Big Ten plays at Indiana, but the whole conference sucks. There's 3 good teams in the Big Ten. That's all it is.
Appreciate your call, Tom.
I love that.
Right.
Tom in Somerville.
And sorry about that. We accidentally dropped Dewey as well.
Accidentally, right, Dewey, Diesel.
Yeah.
Accidentally.
Now, some of our Tolos may be saying that's a kindness.
That's what I'm saying.
Those who were listening to that.
I didn't know. I was worried. You have the dump button. I don't. I was worried where that conversation was going to go between Tom and Somerville and Dewey, but it stayed on the rails. Believe it or not.
Isn't it funny? Tom is the eternal optimist.
Yeah.
Dewey is the eternal pessimist. So it's like Batman versus Joker, a rock and a hard place.
That's right. You know what? That was maybe the funniest answer I asked Tom Diesel, you were answering the phone. I said, "What?" He said, "We're going to go beat LSU." I said, "What have you seen on offense that leads you to believe that?" He said, "Nothing. I've seen absolutely nothing." Right. He just got that Friday feeling inside his bones, is what he said. But
gotta get it.
We appreciate the phone call, Tom. Good to hear from you.
Like Gloria Estefan said, sometimes the rrhythm is going to get you.
That's right.
Cole, let's move on with our weekend menu to the 3:30.
So what do we decide was the best game in that slot?
So it's Alabama-Illinois versus Alabama-Missouri versus Ohio State-Illinois.
Which one are you going? If you had to choose one.
I think Ohio State's going to beat the living tar out of the Illini. I don't think it's going to be particularly close.
Yeah, you might be right, Diesel. I just ultimately kind of feel similar to Alabama-Mizzou. I think Alabama covers the 2.5-point spread on the road.
Look at you.
I
I'm
do.
out on Kalen DeBoer.
I know. I think he's the best thing ever. I've never. What are you talking about?
Are you? Let me stand up. Do you have a Kalen DeBoer patch on your shirt?
Nah.
Is he buying advertising on your clothing, Cole?
Not yet.
Let's move on here to the 3:30, 4:30 segment. You got number 7, Indiana, at number 3, Oregon. Number 6, Oklahoma, at Texas in the Cotton Bowl Classic in Dallas. And then, Cole, just because I think it's fun to say, you got VT versus GT in the ATL.
And I'm supposed to pick one?
Yeah, and here's the problem. Indiana's got to do all that brutal West Coast westerly travel, so that might not be a close game. Oklahoma looks like John Mateer is going to play.
Yeah.
So they may beat the tar out of Texas in Dallas.
No, I think I'm going to go with the Red River rivalry still here. I do like Indiana, Oregon, because, I've been really high on Dante Moore with Oregon, 14 touchdowns, 1 interception, only 34 incompletions this season, Diesel. And then just as high as I've been on Dante Moore, Fernando Mendoza, to Tom's point, has been just as good, if not better. 16 touchdowns to 1 interception, 89 of 122 in the season. He's been terrific. So this one's tough, but I think just because of tradition, I'm going to go with Oklahoma, Texas, but I would love to keep an eye at the same time on that Oregon-Indiana game. That could be a lot of fun.
Well, John Mateer is quote-unquote back. It seems like he's going to play, but we won't know until he gets hit and, takes a shot in that hand, just how healthy that hand really is and how quick that repair to that broken bone has been. I mean, if John Mateer gets knocked back out of this game and he's playing against what appears to be an extremely mediocre Arch Manning, can Oklahoma's backup go get it done? What's Oklahoma's backup name? He was starting there last year, and his name escapes me right now.
Yeah, let me ask you this question, Diesel. Does it feel like to you and Tolo's out there that John Mateer came back super quick from that hand injury?
I get why you want to come back. Come on, it's the Red River Shootout.
I get it, but goodness gracious, didn't it feel like he just got injured? I don't know, man.
It had just happened.
That's what I'm saying. So that kind of, that hand injury intrigues me. It's terrible to say, but now I'm really, really interested in seeing if he can come back and heal that quickly.
It's sophomore Michael Hawkins Jr.
Okay, gotcha.
If I recall correctly, he was like a 4 or 5 star. So he's on paper a really good quarterback. Yeah. He just got thrust in there into a situation he was not going to be successful in last year. Let's move on to the 7 o'clock time slot. Again, if you could only watch one game in this time slot, which one would it be? This is where it gets tough because there's 5 really good games in this time slot. You got Florida at Texas A&M. Can Florida do it again? Get another big time upset. You got Georgia on the road at Auburn. Michigan on the road at Southern Cal. Clemson at Boston College, and then South Carolina at LSU.
Gosh, that's tough, Diesel, to your point there. Oh, man. South Carolina, LSU, look, we all know locally that draws a big interest because of where we are, but you mean to tell me you were not watching Marcel Reed versus DJ Lagway at 7 o'clock? I mean, that's going to be intriguing, right? I think the Kansas-Texas Tech game could be better than people think in Lubbock with number 9 Texas Tech and Jalen Daniels, a good Kansas team in the Big 12. Georgia, Auburn, Clemson, BC, like you mentioned, South Carolina, LSU. So let me tell you this. Diesel, I want South Carolina LSU to be the game I want to watch. However, in Tiger Stadium Saturday night, Diesel, on the SEC network, if I have to watch another putrid rushing attack for South Carolina, I can't do it. I just can't. Like, there's nothing, as a football junkie, there's nothing that pains me more to sit there and watch an offense that just can't run the football. It drives me crazy. So I feel like that's what we're going to get. I kind of lean Florida A&M. Florida's trying to get back to 500. There's a few good ones there, though. To your point, USC Michigan's not a terrible game. 2 one-loss teams, right?
Maybe the question is, of these 5 games, which is the most likely to be a 1-score game or less midway through the fourth quarter?
I'd say USC Trojans. Yeah, I think the Trojans. I think that could be a close game, man. I really do.
Man, and now they got me thinking about what would it be like to have Jamie Chadwell in Los Angeles. That was reported by On3 Sports earlier today, by the way. Not that he's interviewing for the job, but they just threw his name out there as a candidate. We'll get we'll get into that a little bit later on in the 545 segment. We're going to move our daily wires to that segment. And then finally, Cole, I don't know if you have much interest in this one at all. Maybe you're going to be stuffed and you're not going to want to watch any more football at this point. But the Sam Levitt-less Arizona State at Utah is kind of the only good football game in that 10 o'clock slot. So it might be a weekend to hit the bed early.
You had to bring that up. You had to bring that up. You had to bring that up. By the way, Diesel, the spread on that game has now moved to 9.5 points. It started out at 6.5.
Oh my! Now the question is, do they win? It's not will they win the game? It's can they cover?
I know
the old spread.
So when it opened at 6.5. It dropped to 5.5. A lot of Tolos took it in the upset picks challenge, including myself, because we thought, Sam Levitt and Arizona State's better than Utah, right? And then what happens? We hear that Sam Levitt's not playing. It drops 4 points. Or it goes, it moves up from 5.5 to 9.5. I'll tell you what, man, that game is still intriguing to me. I know it's at Utah, but the reality of it is Arizona State's still a good football team. I wish I wouldn't have taken that game in my upset picks challenge, but here we are, and I guess, we'll look forward to next week when it comes to upset picks.
Yep, that's it. That is your weekend.
Let's go. I like it.
Love it, man. It's hard. I've tried watching, and a texter did point out that the ESPN app on streaming now does allow for the 4-game split. Here's the problem with that. It doesn't let you pick what 4 games you want to watch. You're stuck with their pre-curated groups of games. So, I'm an App State fan. I would want to watch, for example, if all these games were on at the same time, I would want to watch Florida A&M, Clemson, BC, South Carolina, LSU, and App State, Georgia State. I would want to watch those 4 games. Problem is, I can't choose that App State, Georgia State, and put it in that 4-way split. They say it's coming to the app. Yeah, it's not there yet.
YouTube TV. It took a long time for YouTube TV to get that way to where you could customize the 4. Yeah. But Diesel, it's time to talk Furman football. We do it several times a week on this show. We cover Furman obviously because we're the flagship for Furman football, and you'll hear that game tomorrow in Western right here on the Fan Upstate. But it's time to talk Furman football next with the man, the myth, the legend, head ball coach Clay Hendricks next on the Fan Upstate.
professional kicker. They have a really solid kicker. So I think, but we had blocked the kick earlier in the day. And, you're talking about a little 25-yard go route, which doesn't take very much time to get it off because it happens pretty fast. And I don't think he probably anticipated our, Joshua Stone King, our kid that's leading the country in sacks and TFLs. He literally threw the tackle into the quarterback, and he just he couldn't finish the throw. And we actually had two guys that got great pressure on the quarterback, and the ball, you could tell pretty quick it wasn't going to get there. And then Jordan Miller, young redshirt freshman, only played, a couple of games that was playing a bunch of snaps in the game. It was kind of like catching a punt at that point in time. And it's like you teach them all year. In that situation, we'd already talked about it. Just really at that point in time, if you catch the ball, the only way they win probably is if you fumble it, and somehow they either pick it up or come back and kick a field goal. And but he didn't. He ran 95 yards with it. We had a linebacker trying to tell him to get down. He was right on their sideline, so I don't think he felt like anybody was going to hit him. And my wife even asked me what I was thinking, and I said I was thinking catch it, and then I was thinking get down, and I'm thinking, well, go ahead and score, So it was on the far side of the field from us. So, we talked to him about it. We said next time, make sure you get down. That was a good feeling.
Coach, Cole and I in the media game, we focus in on a lot of stats, and I'm sure there are some stats that you do focus on and some that you don't. Here's one that you might not know, that your quarterback, Trey Hedden, and Western Carolina's quarterback, Taron Dickens, are exactly 1 yard apart when it comes to the total number of yards that they've thrown for this season. Now, here's a stat that you probably do know, that 46 straight completions to start their game last week. That's what Taron Dickens was able to achieve against Wofford last week. How do you game plan for a guy and how to break up his passes when he never throws an incomplete pass?
Well, you're right, and the fact is he only played in 3 games too, because I think he was suspended for the first 3 games. So he's done that in 3 games. But I tell you what, it'll be a challenge. He is a guy when you watch him, he's accurate, he's poised, he has great mobility. So has ability to throw on the run. He's not an easy guy to. They run him some. He will run, but I think even when he's escaping, he's still looking to throw it. But he did. When you have something like that happen, you go back and look at it. Yeah, you got to have a few things go. They made some good catches, but still, I think you and I could get 5 yards apart and throw 46 passes, and one of us probably would drop one or make a bad throw. But it's pretty phenomenal what he did. Ball got batted one time that probably should have been a pick, and one of their guys ends up catching it right at the line of scrimmage. I think they had another one that was taken back on a penalty that was an incompletion. But pretty phenomenal. He's both those guys are. I think he's actually in the 80% maybe on the year completion wise. And you know what? You're not going to stop him. Wofford did a phenomenal job of kind of containing him. They're a group that kind of lives on explosive plays. And they did a good job of, I think he averaged 7 yards an attempt, which if we can hold him 7 yards an attempt Saturday, I feel pretty good about it, so that's what it's got to be. I think I think they still want to run it. I think a key for us, like it is every week, is if we can make them one-dimensional, then have a chance. I think Wofford did get 4 sacks, so that's something we got to be able to, when we get a chance to go hit the quarterback, hit him. Like we say, we need good, clean hits on the quarterback, whether he's running or he's in the pocket. We gotta be able to pressure him. And so, it'll be a big challenge for us.
Coach, talk about depth on your defensive line, looking at what you guys have done. Do you feel like that was something you didn't have last year when you talk about the struggles? I mean, Stone King's been impressive for you guys. But
anything?
It looks like you're rotating 7 or 8 guys, getting significant playing time.
Well, the 2 inside guys, we're actually playing 6 guys.
Wow.
We played 6 guys. We had one guy that's been out a good bit. Haven't played as many guys on the edges, but we have been able to do that. And you know what?
You should be able to hear, it's funny when it's kind of the same guys that were here last year. The difference was when you rotated last year, none of them had ever played. And, so they were trying to figure it out, trying to get a little, production. And
Josh is an interesting guy. We missed the last four games last year with sickness. And somebody asked me, was I surprised at the year he's had? I said, well, no, I've watched him, and I think great pass rushers, the great ones have power and speed, and he's got both. And
go back to those Diesel. Hey, Diesel, sorry.
Voted for him very much.
I just saw your text.
I think if he can continue this, I think he'll get a few votes at the end of the year.
Can you hear me?
But he's just been really productive, and I mean, obviously people know where he's at now, but I think we have some other guys who can continue to show up.
I've got him on.
I keep telling him, he's getting all that attention, should create that many more opportunities.
He's got other guys. Utility pulled down during this interview.
No, they've been good. Kevin Lewis and Wayne Vaughn coach those guys, and they've done a really good job. Doing that tackle.
So we'll test them in like
I
2
think
minutes.
we've had maybe 10 guys.
Just go ahead and kill that.
Our 16 sacks or whatever the number is we have.
When we come out of this interview replay, we'll be able to
19 guys involved in our tackles for loss. So I think we've been building some depth there. We've stayed relatively healthy there. So hopefully we can continue that trend.
Coach Clay Hendricks, the head football coach of the Furman Paladins, right here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Coach, I guess if you're in the business long enough, you're going to have a
third down. You can't win third down. You can't run the ball. You're not going to beat
this season, like you were saying earlier. You weren't quite sure what you were going to be good at going into the year, and all of a sudden you're sitting at 4-1. Can you think back to a year that either direction, it was better than you thought, or things just sort of fell apart that kind of really shocked you the most, that things did not go the way that you anticipated they would?
Yeah, Boston College is so bad.
Well, I got so many years, they all kind of run together. I can remember some really good teams, that maybe lost a couple of close games that you felt like, you were a player or two away, from being where you wanted to be. In our level, that's maybe the difference in getting in the playoffs or not. Fortunately, Furman, we've had high expectations. We've played for 3 national championships. I was here for all 3 of those, and I played in one of the games. And I thought we had about at least 4 other teams that had a greit chance to win it. And for whatever reason, maybe you got the wrong hurt. I think it's kind of maybe derailed it a little bit. I mean, even one of the years I was at the academy, I was there
almost like
15 years, and we just had one really awful year, and we lost. I think we lost 3 quarterbacks in maybe the first 3 weeks of the season, and we weren't good in some other spots too. But
it was bad.
I don't know. I think
for as bad as that was, though,
I've learned
equally as good was Trevor's fall down. Trevor Lawrence falling down on that ball game. And how does that happen?
Try not to focus much more on that, and if you can do those things,
that'll never happen.
Keep winning games keep getting bigger, and that's
we see Chris Jones. Chris Jones was like over there doing this.
That was a fun one Saturday. This will be a fun one to be in this week.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you as always, and best of luck Saturday. And
you're over here
3-0 on the road this season. We'll talk to you next week, Coach. Good luck.
Sounds great.
You still got to go. You still got to go.
Clay Hendricks, the head football coach of the Furman.
That's exactly right. Make sure
you heard him right here on the Fan Upstate. Diesel, that performance by Trey Hedden, you're talking about 350 plus. One of the top 3 performances in Furman football.
He's always like
that was a huge performance by their quarterback on Saturday, and I think this team's kind of starting to really figure things out.
Yeah. Well, he's only a sophomore, so he's got the rest of this season and hopefully 2 more years right here in the upstate to show what he can do at the FCS level. And man, you're talking about, maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, a senior seasoned Trey Hedden.
Yeah.
That feels like the kind of quarterback that can lead this team.
844-926-3663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
You know, a lot of our Tolos are now used to hearing the Daily Wires at 3:45. Well, now you got some late buzz on our Daily Wires.
That's right.
The buzz happening around the sports. See, I messed that up.
You did.
And that's on me.
Sorry.
That's on me.
It's all good. It's all good.
You do it at a different time, and it completely messes up your flow. The New York Giants last night beat the reigning Super Bowl champion. Speaking of flow being messed up, the Philadelphia Eagles lost 17-34 to a team that's down in the dumps. How does that even happen? The Eagles have now lost 2 in a row. Cam Scattaboo, as our texter earlier corrected us, had 19 carries for 98 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, him and Dart were sensational. And Diesel, I asked the question, I wonder how many NFL GMs and NFL owners see what they saw last night with this like youth movement, right? With Jackson Dart, a rookie, with Cam Scattaboo, a rookie. And I wonder how many people across the league see this and think, you know what? We can do it too. We can go get a rookie to rejuvenate our franchise. I mean, we're talking about New York Giants team, Diesel, that has just been horrendous as of late. And they didn't beat Philly last night. They throttled them, and it was every facet of the game. So the youth movement, man, like I'm not saying every quarterback, every situation always works that way, but it worked in Washington, it's worked in other places, and it worked in New York so far.
Recall Cam Scattaboo was the 105th overall pick, Cole, went in the 4th round, and how many teams wish they had taken a flyer on him? By the way, I randomly found a video on Instagram earlier of a news report from when Cam was still playing youth level football. They were interviewing his high school coach about his older brother, and the coach said, yeah, his older brother, I don't know what his name was, he's okay, but his brother is really good, and he's fast.
That's impressive.
They called it way back then that Cam was going to be a special kind of player. Here's some sad news for you. Sister Jean Dolores Schmidt, the beloved longtime chaplain of the Loyola Chicago men's basketball team, who became a folk hero during their Cinderella run in 2018, passed away yesterday at the age of 106.
Sad to see, man. I hope I live to 106, but I wonder how much NIL she's going to leave. Well, what's her NIL collective donation going to be in her trust, right?
Going back to the Eagles here for a second, their right tackle Lane Johnson said that one of the keys to improving the offense following their second straight loss on a 34-17 fall to the New York Giants was to, quote, be less predictable. Didn't they run the tush push like 4 plays in a row yesterday?
They did, and man, you and I got in an argument/debate about this about a year ago, Diesel. And I think I am coming around to your side. We've got to get rid of this tush push.
It's not good in the spirit of the game.
It's got to go. Like if you go watch it closely, it's a false start every time it happens. So I'm fine with being creative and figuring out how to take an advantage or get an advantage over your opposition, but. Come on, it's a false start, clear as day every single time it happens.
To me, it's like playing Mortal Kombat and just sweeping the leg over and over and over and over again. LeBron James going to be sidelined for an additional 3 to 4 weeks because of sciatica on his right side. LeBron, who is 40, missed the Lakers' first 2 preseason games and has yet to participate in a full practice because of what Coach J.J. Redick described as nerve irritation in his glute. He's got a sore butt.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's your glute, that's your butt. There you go. The bye week strikes again. Not the bye week, but the bye in the Major League Baseball playoffs strikes again. Last night, the Dodgers beat the Phillies 2-1 in dramatic fashion. LA scored the 11th inning game winner on a bases-loaded, broken bat ground ball to the pitcher, Kerkering, who threw it home to get the force out, threw it over the catcher's head. Game over right there. LA going to face the winner of tomorrow night's Cubs-Brewers Game 5.
That'd be a good series, man. It was tragic, kind of how that ended last night, but I think we talked about it a couple of days ago. Tom in Somerville in the last hour said that Seattle was the best team remaining, but I really do believe, Diesel, that every team remaining right now has got a shot at this thing. That's what makes it fun this year.
Well, truthfully, they shouldn't have been in that position at all, Cole.
That's true.
Because of the terrible job that the home plate umpire did. Phillies pitcher Christopher Sanchez revealed that the home plate umpire came to him and apologized.
Wow, that's
for missing a strike 3 call that led to the Dodgers game-tying run.
It's a bad look.
At all.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, Good news is automated balls and strikes or challenges are coming to Major League Baseball full-time next year. Tonight, you got Tigers and Mariners. They'll go at it in the winner-take-all fifth game in that series with an 8:08 first pitch. After going 1-5 in preseason action, the Carolina Hurricanes blew out the New Jersey Devils 6-3 in their regular season opener. They'll host the Flyers tonight at 7 o'clock. Former NBA player and 10-time All-Star, this is terrible, Paul Pierce was arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence. California Highway Patrol officer found him asleep at the wheel on the side of the interstate, Cole.
That is bad. I shouldn't laugh at that, but it is bad. I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's bad. And finally here, Cole, On3 Sports is reporting that Washington's Jed Fish is a leading candidate for the UCLA job, presumably due to his Los Angeles ties.
Jed Fish?
They also listed Dave Aranda and Jamie Chadwell as possible targets.
Don't you kind of feel like they just slipped in a major way? Like these are the targets for that job right now.
Yeah.
That's the best they can do. I mean, that you're in LA. That's surprising to me.
And I lied. There is one final one here. There's been no announcement on venue, on performers, or what outlet you might be able to watch it on. But if you are not so inclined to watch the Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime show, it seems as if Turning Point USA, the platform that Charlie Kirk founded, is attempting to put together their own Super Bowl halftime show to counter Bad Bunny.
How about that?
There you go. And those are your daily wires.
Diesel, we will jump into a conversation about Clemson, about South Carolina, maybe even a little Jamie Chadwell there, since there's that rumor out there as well. Matt Smith, Smitty of SportsTalk Media Network, next.
Thank you.